It's a text-based game that you download on your phone that lets you make choices and develop your bit life by aging them up. I found it while looking for a game to occupy myself during a 6-hour flight, and against all odds, I got hooked to it. I'm not much of a gamer, unless you count Candy Crush, but for some reason this game really drew me in. All the options and unique scenarios just kept me coming back for more. My first bit life died as a mid-level salesman. The next was a famous musician. The one after was a notorious serial killer. Every new bit life was different, and every one more interesting than the next. One day, I was lying on my couch, sipping on a vitamin water, as my latest bite life lived out his final years. He was a very successful CEO, married to his partner for 40 years, and was the loving adopted father of 2 boys. The Black Death screen popped up as I aged him up one last time. Gary Newell died at the age of 82. He passed away peacefully in his sleep. I let out a satisfied sigh. Gary lived a very fulfilling, very successful life. I took another sip of my water, letting the silence of my apartment envelop me for a few moments. I checked the time, 9:18 p.m., enough time for me to start a new life. I clicked the little sperm icon to start again. My phone frownsy, the screen becoming unresponsive for a few seconds. Frustrated, I locked and unlocked the screen to try to get it to work again. It flickered back to life, the app opening again. I gasped as double-checked the new name. Rita Thatcher. The exact same name as me. I let out a laugh, trying to imagine what the chances are that the random name would be mine. I decided I was gonna give little Rita the best life possible, make her a CEO, or a famous painter, maybe even a movie star. Feeling excited, I took a look at the information screen. I was born a female in Glasgow, UK. My eyes went wide as I double-checked the location. I was born in Glasgow. My excitement slowly faded to a dull sense of dread as I continued to read. Born 28 November, same day as me. The feeling of dread grew as I read the names of the parents. David Thatcher, writer, age 29. Willow Thatcher, police officers, age 27. Those are my parents' names. My dad was a writer, and my mom was a police officer back in those days. I quickly did the math, and the ages also matched. With shaking hands, I clicked age up. Age, 1 year. My mother and father had a baby boy named Jensen. My blood turned to ice as I read the text again. No way, I said to myself over and over, unable to believe that this is really happening. My stomach wrenched itself into knots as I thought of my poor, sweet brother. I clicked age up. Nothing showed up for age 2 and 3. With each blank screen, the feeling of dread that Saturday inside me eased up just a little. I tried to imagine what the odds of all this being a coincidence was. Probably impossibly low. I clicked age up. Age 4. Your parents want to buy you and your brother a pet spaniel named Daphne. I let out a shriek as I dropped my phone and scrambled to the other side of the couch. I fell off the edge, my butt hitting the cold, tiled floor. I sat there for a bit, curled up and taking deep breaths. I remembered Daphne's sweet, brown eyes and golden coat. My parents got her for Jensen and I when I was 4. She was my sweet angel, my best friend for 5 years. I sat on the floor for a few seconds more, as the weight in my stomach eased up enough for me to get up. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a glass from the cabinet and poured myself some water. I leaned against the counter, taking slow sips as the feeling of dread faded little by little. I placed the empty glass in the sink and turned the hot water on, grabbing the sponge and dish soap as the water heated up. Still in a daze, I cleaned the glass, rinsing off the suds and placing it on the rack to dry. I think I'm just tired, overworked and delusional from working a double shift. I'll just turn off the game and go to bed. I jumped as a ping sounded from the lounge. It's my phone, letting me know I had a message. I made my way to the lounge, sitting back on the couch. As I picked up my phone and glanced at its screen, ByteLife was still open, its text waiting patiently for me. As I swiped down and checked the notification, it was from ByteLife. "Don't leave just yet," it said. "You must be losing your mind, Rita," I told myself as I clicked each up, bracing myself for whatever came next. "It's just a game," I tried to tell myself. It didn't help. Each 6 years, my dad is now addicted to alcohol. I tried to lock the phone, my hands fumbling over the button over and over in a panic. The screen refused to lock, the text becoming blurry as I started to cry. In frustration, I threw my phone across the room. It gave a loud crack as it bounced against the wall, its screen ripping off and hanging from the main body. The phone started pinging, slowly at first, but picking up speed until it became a torrent of noise. Mechanically, I made my way over to it, delicately picking up the screen as its cabling snapped off and left the main body behind. Impossibly, notifications flooded across the top of its lit screen. "Don't leave just yet, Rita," it said, all from ByteLife. I watched as they flickered by. Suddenly they stopped, one final message popping up from the text app. It was from my dad. "Keep playing, Rita." I clicked each up. Each 7 years. My brother Jensen died at the age of 6. My eyesight became more blurry as tears flowed down my face. He died in a car crash. My dad was driving that car. He picked him up from nursery school and was on his way to pick me up from my school when it happened. It was a head-on collision. The police found my dad over the limit and halfway across the other lane. Another notification, this time from my mom. "Keep going," numbly. I clicked each up. Each 8 years. My mom died at the age of 35. The phone's speakers came to life from the other side of the room, giving me a start. 2 voices flooded out of it. It's been years, but I recognized my parents' voices. It started out hushed, both of them whispering to each other so as to not wake little Rita. Soon the voices grew louder and louder, filling the living room as they screamed angrily at each other. I cupped my ears, trying to drown out the sounds. It grew louder, the noise filling the room until I screamed, trying to drown them out. Suddenly it stopped. A door slammed and the sound of heavy footsteps marched away. I heard someone open a kitchen drawer, the utensils clanging together inside it as someone rifled around. They pulled something out, slamming the drawer shut as they made their way back to where they came. I heard another ping come from my phone. She was stabbed by my father during an argument. The screaming turned my blood to ice. It started off loud and shrill, the sound reverberating throughout the house. It started becoming hoarse and choked, before cutting off to a gargling silence. I cupped my hands over my ears, dropping the screen as I curled into a ball. I began screaming, telling it to stop as the sounds of my dad's labored breathing joined the sounds of his knife. Suddenly it cut off with another ping. As my vision returned, I looked up at the screen. Keep playing, Rita. I clicked H up, H. 9 years. My father committed suicide in prison at age 38. I've been sent to an orphanage. I clicked again, H up, H. 13 years. I was adopted by Adam Whiteley and Sarah Whiteley. Another ping. Almost there, age 15 years. My adoptive father hit me for not finishing dinner. Hey, age up, age 18 years. I ran away from home, age 19 years. I got a job as a barista, age 20 years, 22 years, 25. My breathing is shallow, my head is fuzzy and my hands are shaking as I stare at the screen. 25 years. I turned 26 today. I jumped as I heard another ping. Almost there. I clicked H up. The Black Death screen popped up. Rita Thatcher died at the age of 26. I screamed as I heard my front door creak open. She was killed while at home. I'm sharing this story because it's been on my mind for a long time, and I've never really talked about it with anyone. A year ago, I lived as a paying guest in a house Kerala for about a month, and the experience was so bizarre and unsettling that it changed me in ways I never expected. From the very first day I moved in, strange things started happening. It began with a sensation I couldn't explain. I would feel a strong slap on my back or chest whenever I tried to sleep in the afternoon. It happened multiple times, and it was like someone was physically there, even though I was alone in the room. The worst part was the sleep paralysis. I would wake up, unable to move, and see dark, shadowy figures getting closer to me. One night, I woke up to find a young man lying next to me in bed. I could feel his presence beside me, his weight in the bed. But when I turned to look, he was gone. I tried to brush it off, but the experiences kept escalating. There were moments when the electricity in the house would flicker, and sometimes it would short circuit altogether, leaving me in the dark. But the most disturbing thing was that every morning, I would wake up to find a drop of blood coming from my mouth. I had no explanation for it. I felt physically fine when I woke up, but the sight of the blood every single morning was deeply unnerving. In addition to all of this, I started experiencing shortness of breath at night. It felt like I couldn't breathe properly, like something was pressing on my chest. It made sleeping even more difficult and unnerving. Then came the scariest incident of all. One night, during another episode of sleep paralysis, I saw a dark figure moving closer to me, just like the others I had seen before. Panicking, I reached out, trying to grab anything that would wake me up. But instead of grabbing the bed or the sheets, I grabbed someone's hand. It was cold, and I could feel the fingers tighten around mine. I was frozen, unable to move, and in that moment, I felt like I was connected to something that wasn't human. But when I tried to focus, the hand vanished, and I woke up, heart racing. The most unsettling part came about a week later, when I found out the young man I had seen in my room had actually lived there before me. He had tragically died in an accident nearby, and he was dearly loved by the family I was staying with. The house, I guess, still held some kind of energy or attachment to him, and I could feel it in every corner of the place. The final straw came when my father came to pick me up. On the way, his hand got stuck in the car door, and he lost a significant amount of blood. It felt like everything was connected, like the bad energy or whatever it was in that house was following me, even outside of it. After all of this, I started changing. I felt like I couldn't relate to people anymore. I became angry more often and began lashing out at my family members. Even though I didn't want to, I ended up isolating myself. And even now, I sometimes feel like a different person because of what I experienced. I don't know if it was the house, the energy, or just everything combined, but it left me in a place I've struggled to get out of. When I was a kid, I would normally see things out of the corner of my eye. I always knew I was sensitive to things like ghosts and the paranormal. Since I am Hispanic and our culture includes a lot of mythology, I'm 18 now and still experience and feel things. When I was about 5 to 7 years old, I experienced a sleep paralysis episode. This resulted in a Mickey Mouse toy I had standing up and cracking like it had bones. Honestly, my heart dropped and I realized I couldn't move my body. I could just watch. He turned around and stared at me. He grinned and it was just like the Mickey Mouse movie that just came out recently in the past few years. When it did come up, my heart dropped again like it had the night I had sleep paralysis. So you can imagine just what I was seeing in my paralysis. His grin had his face turning red, and the aura around him was a dark cloud with red specks in it. He then moved closer little by little and started laughing like Mickey Mouse but demonically, and then screamed and attacked me. I was religious then and had started saying the Hail Mary, reciting the rosary and everything in my head. I was screaming internally but saying it. Eventually the sleep paralysis went away and I slept fine until morning. At this time, I was in my parents' basement. Since my dad had built my new room, it always creeped me out and kept me awake at night. So usually it'd be on my computer until I fell asleep. However, the basement had a dark, heavy feeling. I started closing my door and locking it after that night. However, back to the doll. Mickey in the morning. His neck was broken and the stitching fell apart, and so he has a huge gaping hole in his neck. This was the worst feeling that came over me when I went to investigate the doll. His head that episode did twitch slightly, but I never saw it bend its neck so hard, so it must have been when it lunged at me. Now being 18, I've had him locked in a box always since the night he attacked me. Last story. The day before Halloween, my friend and I went to the park and walked around. But as we were leaving, we felt like we were being followed. We rushed to run to my house as our insides were telling us to go home. During this run, I saw a person behind us several times. I rushed to run and that's when I saw the reason why he did that. My friend and I were being chased by a man with a knife. We got to my house and my father asked why we were pounding on the door so hard and fast. We replied that we would just call 911 and say that a man had shown up in the neighborhood. A few days later, the man was caught in the backyard trying to steal from a woman who lived alone. Those were the scariest moments of my life, but they were always kept secret because I was afraid of being labeled mentally unstable or worse.